Today we are going to discuss the concept of DC offset. The concept of DC offset is very important because whenever we discuss the making current of a circuit breaker or the ratings related to short circuit current in a power system, we often come across the relationship between short circuit current and dynamic current. For example, why is the making current of a circuit breaker always taken as 2.55 times the short circuit breaking current? To understand this and many other related concepts, we must first understand the concept of DC offset. First, let us draw a circuit. This is the voltage source. As you can clearly understand, it is an AC voltage source. In other words, you can assume it is a generator. This is the resistance, this is the reactance, and this is the connected load. Now let us write the source voltage as Vm sin omega t. Simple. Let the resistance be R, the inductive reactance be X, and this is the load. Now, at t equals 0, a short circuit occurs in this circuit. So, we can ignore the load and replace it with a short circuit. Now let us assume that the short circuit occurs just after the zero crossing at an angle alpha. Therefore, the instantaneous value of the source voltage at the instant the short circuit occurs can be written as Vm sin within bracket omega t plus alpha. Graphically, we can represent it like this. Here, at this point, the short circuit occurs and this angle is alpha. This is the instant of the short circuit. Hope you got it. Now let us assume that I of t is the short circuit current flowing through the circuit. From this circuit, we can write the short circuit equation as R into I plus L into di by dt equals Vm sin within bracket omega t plus alpha. This is quite clear. Now we know that X equals 2 pi fL, where L is the inductance of the inductor. Obviously, X equals 2 pi fL. Again, on this slide, we are writing the same equation. R into I plus L into di by dt equals Vm sin within bracket omega t plus alpha. This is a first order differential equation. Now, we can write the total current I of t as the sum of two responses. That is, I of t equals ISC plus IDC. This is a basic concept. Here, ISC is the steady state response or the steady state current and IDC is the transient response or the transient current. That means the total current I of t just after the short circuit occurs is the sum of the steady state current and the transient current. Now, the steady state current is ISC equals Im sin within bracket omega t plus alpha minus phi, where Im is the maximum current and it is equal to Vm divided by mod z or Vm divided by square root of R square plus omega square L square. Now, the transient current is IDC equals k into e to the power minus RT by L. Therefore, we can finally write I of t equals Im sin within bracket omega t plus alpha minus phi plus k into e to the power minus RT by L. Now the solution that we have written here is the direct solution of the differential equation. We are not solving the equation step by step in this video. I am assuming that you already know the basic method of solving a differential equation. If you are familiar with the basic concepts of differential equations and the transient analysis of RL or RLC circuits, you should already know how this solution is obtained. So, instead of spending time solving the differential equation in this video, I have directly written the final solution. Here, phi is the power factor angle, that is, the angle between the current and the voltage. It depends on the values of the resistance and reactance of the circuit, or in other words, on the values of the resistance and inductance. Now again we can write I of t equals Im sin within brackets omega t plus alpha minus phi plus k into e to the power minus RT by L. Now we will find out the value of the constant k. When t equals 0 minus, that means just before the short circuit occurs, the current is 0. Actually, there will be a normal load current flowing through the circuit just before the short circuit occurs. But for the sake of understanding and also for the sake of this derivation and calculation, we have ignored that current. we are simply assuming that there was no current flowing through the circuit before the short circuit occurred. The reason is that this normal load current does not affect the short circuit condition in any significant way. Therefore, we have not considered it in our analysis. So, we assume that just before the short circuit occurs, the current in the circuit is zero. Now, let us examine what will be the current immediately after the short circuit occurs. That current will also be zero because an inductance is present in the circuit. As we know, the current through an inductor cannot change instantaneously. Therefore, at t equals 0, we can write I of t equals 0. So, 0 equals Im sine within bracket 0 plus alpha minus phi plus k into e to the power minus r into 0 by L. Since e to the power 0 equals 1, we get k equals minus Im sine within bracket alpha minus phi. So we have obtained the value of k. Therefore, the complete expression for the current becomes I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t plus alpha minus phi minus Im sine within bracket alpha minus phi into e to the power minus rt by L. Here, the exponential term represents the DC component or the transient response, whereas the sinusoidal term represents the AC component or the steady-state response. Again, I am writing the final equation. I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t plus alpha minus phi minus Im sine within bracket alpha minus phi into e to the power minus rt by L. Now, let us consider a special case where the short circuit occurs exactly when the voltage waveform crosses the zero axis. That means the instantaneous voltage is zero. Please note, we should write V equals 0, not Vm equals 0. Vm is the maximum value of the voltage, whereas V equals 0 means the voltage is at its zero crossing. So, in this case, alpha equals 0 because the short circuit occurs exactly at the voltage 0 crossing. Now, in a practical transmission network, the reactance X is much greater than the resistance R. Therefore, the power factor angle phi can be approximately taken as 90 degrees or pi by 2. Substituting these values into the equation, I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t plus 0 minus pi by 2 minus Im sine within bracket 0 minus pi by 2 into e to the power minus rt by L. Now, let us simplify it. I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t minus pi by 2 minus Im sine within bracket minus pi by 2 into e to the power minus rt by L. Since sine of minus pi by 2 equals minus 1, we get I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t minus pi by 2 plus Im into e to the power minus rt by L. Now, let us examine the value of the current at different angular positions of the waveform. Again, the final equation is I of t equals Im sine within bracket omega t minus pi by 2 plus Im into e to the power minus rt by L. Now, t equals 0. That is, omega t is 0. So, I of 0 equals I sub m sine minus pi by 2 plus I sub m into e to the power of 0. That is, minus I sub m plus I sub m equals 0. Now, let us consider omega t equals pi by 2. Then, I at pi by 2 omega equals Im sine within bracket pi by 2 minus pi by 2 plus Im into e to the power minus r pi by 2 omega L. This becomes 0 plus Im into e to the power minus r pi by 2 omega L. Now, since the x by r ratio is much greater than 1 in a practical transmission system, the term r pi by 2 omega L may be considered very close to 0. Therefore, e to the power minus r pi by 2 omega L is approximately equal to 1. So we can approximately write I at pi by 2 omega is approximately equal to Im. Now, let us consider what happens when omega t equals pi. That means what will be the value of the current at omega t equals pi. From omega t equals pi, we get t equals pi by omega. Therefore, I at pi by omega equals Im sine within bracket pi minus pi by 2 plus Im into e to the power minus r pi by omega L. This becomes Im plus Im into e to the power minus r pi by omega L. Again, since the x by r ratio is much greater than 1, we can take r pi by omega L as approximately 0. Therefore, I at pi by omega is approximately equal to Im plus Im, which is approximately equal to 2Im. So finally we can say, when omega t is very close to 0, I of t is also very close to 0. When omega t is close to pi by 2, I of t is approximately equal to Im. And when omega t equals pi, I of t is approximately equal to 2Im. Now, one small correction. Here I wrote I of t equals Im. Actually, it is not exactly equal to Im because the DC component is still present. Since the x by r ratio is much greater than 1, we have only assumed the exponent of the exponential term to be very close to 0, not exactly 0. So, there is still a small exponential term remaining. Therefore, instead of writing I of t equals Im, it is better to write I of t is approximately equal to Im. Similarly, instead of writing I of t equals 2Im, we should write I of t is approximately equal to 2Im. In practice, however, we generally consider this value to be around 1.8 Im based on practical system experience. Now, let us look at the waveform. If we plot the short circuit current equation that we have just derived, the waveform will look like this. At t equals 0, the current is 0. After that, it decays, and the waveform slowly settles down to the steady state condition. In other words, initially the current amplitude becomes nearly double the steady state short circuit current because of the DC offset. Then, as the DC component decays exponentially, the current gradually reduces and finally becomes equal to the steady state short circuit current. I hope you got the idea of how the DC offset mathematically increases the amplitude of the short circuit current to nearly 2 times its steady state amplitude. In our next video, we will discuss the practical design aspect of the dynamic short circuit current, considering this DC offset phenomenon and its effect on the short circuit characteristics of the circuit breaker. I hope you got the idea. So, we have already derived that the short circuit current, meaning the first peak of the short circuit current due to the effect of DC offset, will go up to 1.8 times the peak of the natural response of the short circuit current. This means the transient peak of the short circuit current is 1.8 times the peak of the steady state short circuit current. And that steady state will be achieved after 3 to 4 cycles depending upon the x by r ratio of the circuit, meaning the reactance by resistance ratio of the circuit. Actually, again I am saying the reactance by resistance ratio determines the exponential term, meaning it determines the time constant tau of the equation. So, it determines how fast the DC offset will decay and eventually vanish from the short circuit current waveform. Now, we always express the steady state short circuit current in RMS value. This means whenever we talk about a 25 kiloampere short circuit current, a 31.5 kiloampere short circuit current, or a 40 kiloampere short circuit current, all are expressed in RMS value only. The dynamic current or transient short circuit current fully depends upon the peak of the first half cycle of the short circuit current just after the short circuit happens. So, it must be expressed in peak value. So, how do we convert the peak value from the RMS value in a sinusoidal waveform? We know that the square root of 2 times the RMS value gives the peak value. So, for determining the dynamic short circuit current, that is, the transient peak or the first peak of the short circuit current, it will be 1.8 into Im. But Im is equal to root 2 into the RMS short circuit current, meaning 1.414 into the RMS short circuit current. This gives the peak of the steady state response of the short circuit current. And now, we will multiply it by 1.8 to get the dynamic response of the short circuit current. Now, the product of 1.414 and 1.8 gives the value 2.55. So, the relation between the short circuit current and the dynamic current is that the value of the dynamic current in its peak is 2.55 times the value of the RMS short circuit current. And in some standards, this 2.55 is written approximately as 2.5. So generally, whatever the short circuit current of any electrical equipment is given on the rating plate, the dynamic current will simply be 2.5 times that short circuit current. But remember, the short circuit current is always expressed in RMS value, whereas the dynamic current is always expressed in peak value. For example, say I sub SC, the rated short circuit current. Then root 2 into I sub SC is the peak of the steady state short circuit current. 1.8 into root 2 or 1.414 into I sub SC is approximately equal to 2.55 times I sub SC, or more approximately 2.5 times I sub SC. Hope you got the idea.